Good morning everyone and welcome to my channel English Literature. Today we are going to talk about Native Son by Richard Wright. We have already started it and it is part 2. Now in the part 1 we have discussed the main theme, summary, characters of this novel, and in this part we will talk about the other critical aspects of this novel. First of all, we will talk about the historical context of this novel. The first major important historical context is the Great Depression. The stock market crash of 1929 was followed by unemployment, social unrest, price hike, low paying jobs. And the great American dream started shattering. Now the second context, the Great Migration. From 1910 to 1970, blacks started living in the rural southern part and coming to the urban northern part. This sudden incredible alteration of the demographics of the United States had a profound effect on blacks. In this novel, you will find that the city is crowded, and for the blacks there is the ghettos where they have to live in a congested room, one single room, rat infested rooms, and that is for this Great Migration. Rapid infusion of the population in the north gave birth to such places as ghettos described in this novel. So this major historical tapestry in which the plot is woven, that is a Great Depression, Great Migration, and there are also other aspects, but these two are the main. Now we will talk about the narrative technique of this novel. The story is narrated in limited third person point of view, and it is written from the perspective of Bigger Thomas. Here the focus is on Bigger Thomas. We are introduced with Bigger Thomas through this third person point of view. We know everything about him, what he is thinking, what he is doing, what he is planning through this narrative technique. The narrative voice reveals all the action in the novel but limits it to the perspective of the central character. Thus, it speaks of vigor but cannot be bigger. It helps the reader to feel identified with the character cornered in the ghetto, demarcated for the black people. And now we will discuss the different issues or different aspects of this novel. Denied identity. The recurrent theme, the recurrent motive of this novel is denied identity. Bigger Thomas is denied his identity as a human being. That's why after murdering Mary, when he confessed to Max that now I feel I am free, I feel that I am alive. The last line in the summary we have talked about, that after this, that when I am going to die, I am in the death sentence for killing a white woman, but I am feeling that I am alive. Otherwise, when I was alive, I don't feel that I am alive. Now, even when the Negroes offer their life for the country, they are denied their identity and place. They are subdued, they are suppressed, they are treated like invisible man. Ralph Ellison, you must read that. Then you will understand these two novels bear the same theme, same intonation, I think so. In the author's word, Bigger Thomas is a symbolic figure of American life, a figure who would hold within him the prophecy of our future. Negroes are forced to live in America contain the embryonic emotional prefiguration of how a large part of the body politic would react under stress. Now, social dichotomy. This is another theme, and that is correlated and related with the first, that is the denied identity. When there is social dichotomy, obviously one's identity must be denied, and then there will be the dichotomy. In his introduction, How Bigger Was Born, the author dissects the social dichotomy with a deliberate amplification. Fear and insecurity. That is inherent in Bigger's quality. He is always haunted by fear, and it is his fear, that is indomitable fear, that pushed him to kill Mary. racist society. Right here uncover the hypocrisies of white society who are under the cloak of outward progressive attitude, and that is identified and that is represented by the character Mr. Dalton. And that racist society is highlighted by Wright through his characters. They are showing that they are doing something for the black society. They are doing something, but in actual reality they are doing nothing. Judicial system. Here there is some hope, some light the character Max, but ultimately Wright portrays the true thing, the originality, that the juries did not believe in Max's word and they finally pronounced death sentence for Biggar by electric chair. So that judicial system, which is just the result of the social bigotry, social system. Judicial system go hand by hand by the social system. So we cannot define, we cannot make it apart, the both of them. The social system and judicial system, they both go hand in hand, and that is shown by Wright. Role of media. Magazine and media took a major role in monitoring and shaping the culture of racism. Magazine, media, they can do revolution, but what they can do, that is just defined by them. They constantly put biased images. Media can be positive and negative. You can both use media, in both aspects you can use media in positive and negative. But here the media just became propaganda of the social biasness. What is wrong is projected in that way. The wrong thing, the bigotry, the social dichotomy, the racial theme is just presented in the favor of the white society. Media is following not the truth, not the fact, but what they are following the track. They are following the route of the white society for their benefit. For in their court they are playing the ball. So they constantly put biased images of inequality, the minds and thoughts of the citizens. That blacks are for such things, for murder, for all the crimes, they are meant for the blacks. Only blacks can do that. So they are portraying, they are showing, they are projecting the black society in that role that is designed by the white society. They can go beyond that, but they are not going beyond that. Religion and communism. While Biggar's mother is spokesperson for religion, Jan is a representative of communism. These two characters here is signified religion and one is communism. Jan is communism and Biggar's mother who find every solace in religion. Biggar is a symbol. Biggar represents the struggle to break the chain of racial discrepancy and oppression. So Biggar is the greatest symbol of this novel. The native son, no identity. Mr. Britton, the detective, interrogates Peggy about Biggar. What kind of boy is he? He asked. And he's just a quite colored boy. So it is his identity that he is a colored boy. Did you ever see him reading anything? No, Mr. Britton. Does he speak more intelligently at some times than at others? So these questions you can understand how a black boy is judged by the white people. Biggar Thomas represents his race. Biggar Thomas is not merely a 20 years old boy. He is an entire race. Native son shows that the underprivileged Negro is either a church girl, praying submissive type and waiting for the afterlife to get redeemed, or either he is a criminal. Now, blindness is a recurrent theme in the native son. And Mr. Dalton's blindness is not Mr. Dalton's blindness. It is the blindness of the whole American society. And that blindness is recurrently appeared in this novel. Biggar could presume that blindness. Jan was blind, Mary had been blind, Mr. Dalton was blind, and Mrs. Dalton was blind. Yes, blind in more ways than one. So that is very important. Everyone is blind in this society. They are not seeing the actual reality. They are not focusing on the actual problem. Again, while waiting for a car in the cold, snow-beaten streets surrounded by many people, Biggar perceived the blindness. They are simply blind people, blind like his mother, his brother, his sister, Peggy, Britain, Jan, Mr. Dalton, and sightless Mrs. Dalton. So Mrs. Dalton, who is really blind, but all the other characters, they all are blind. The society is blind actually. No American Negro exists who does not have the big private figure Thomas living in his skull, James Baldwin once said. So after reading this novel, you will feel how Wright has captured the essence of the black American heart. And through Bigard's mind, we enter into the dark, sucking vacuity of the black world, where continuous suppression makes them habituated with it. Who is habituated? Mrs. Thomas, Bigard's mother. He is habituated. Even when Bigard was proclaimed death sentence, it is just a fact of life. So yes, she comes to Mrs. Dalton, but again she is submissive in everything because she is waiting for the afterlife. She has enormous faith on God, on religion, and of course on whiskey. She was made criminal through the vicious cycle of American policies of racism, hatred, and vengeance. So Bigard was made criminal. Bigard was not a criminal. He is the native son, a product of American culture. So I feel at first you will read the novel, and then in my first video you will get introduced with the summary and character list. Then you can have an overall understanding of the novel's theme. And then in this part 2, you will have the knowledge about the critical aspects through which we can discuss the novel. We can understand it, we can analyze the novel and the issues we can analyze. Okay. If you feel anything that you want to know more or you don't understand, you can contact me by commenting below. And okay, bye for today.